More sprint car silly season moves as teams and series try to figure out 2025 plans, plus drivers line up Eldora 4-crown rides, and one driver learns that using your sprint car as a weapon is bad. Let's go. It's Wednesday, September 18th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is DIRTRACKR Daily presented by Kubota Genuine Parts. It's been an interesting last 24 hours or so in sprint car racing, and we'll start first with the year-long suspension that was handed down yesterday. Back on Saturday night, the ASCS National Tour was at Arrowhead Speedway in Oklahoma. Arrowhead, the very nice facility we spotlighted earlier this year on a daily show. During the main event that 2023 champion Jason Martin went on to win, we had some shenanigans unfold. The entire incident can't be seen via the Dirt Vision broadcast, so here's how this thing played out. Inside 10 to go, Brandon Anderson gets into the turn 1 wall by himself. While he's trying to gather the 55B, Alex Sewell in the 8 car, who was running behind him, can't avoid Anderson and slides into him. You can imagine a slowing car on the high side and another comes behind and just can't take avoiding action quick enough. Normally, that's the end of things, but not on this occasion. Anderson took offense for some reason and decided he needed revenge on Sewell. So as the race continued under green, Anderson squared up Sewell's car and hit him at speed in the left side door. The contact mangles the pitman arm on Sewell's car, and now he doesn't have any control. If you don't know, the pitman arm is what connects the steering box to the front end, allowing the driver to steer. With no control over the car, Sewell ends up sliding into the infield and hitting a series side-by-side with a safety worker inside. This is about the time that the Dirt Vision camera picks up the action. In tow behind Sewell is Anderson, who's now decided the contact with the 8 wasn't enough, and now he wants even more. Both drivers bail from their race cars, and the fight is on. Track and series officials eventually separate the two, but there was a bit more of a scuffle later just outside turn 4, obviously involving crew members. According to the penalty announcement, this all happened while Anderson was being told on the radio by series officials to take his car to the pit area, which he ignored. So in light of his using his car as a weapon, ignoring official instructions, and putting a photographer and infield safety workers in danger, Anderson now finds himself suspended for a year from ASCS and all WRG sanctioned events to go along with a $5,000 fine. Not long after the suspension was announced yesterday, Anderson posted a statement to his Facebook page in which he apologized for his actions, but did say, quote, there were several factors that contributed to the events that transpired on Saturday night. While I do not condone all of my actions, I acknowledge that things got out of hand, unquote. To be fair here, I'm not really interested in any of the factors that led to the events and why things got out of hand. We are in the midst of a season where someone was killed in a dirt track infield, and that happened by terrible accident. These events are dangerous enough when drivers are doing things the right way, let alone when they decide to use their cars as weapon and ignore instructions. If you can't control your emotions inside a race car, maybe you just shouldn't be in one. We got lucky this time. Hopefully this is a wake-up call for this team and driver to do much better in the future. As for sprint car silly season, Jeremy Elliott and Sprint Car Unlimited picking up the breaking news twofer. Last night, Jeremy was out with the news that Cory Eliason and the Ridge team will split after this 2024 season. Ridge had hoped to keep 2 cars going for 2025, but sponsorship deals fell through, and Ridge is pulling back to a single car next season. Eliason found out about this during the Port Royal Tuscarora 50 weekend. Eliason currently 10th in the Kubota High Limit standings, but it's been a struggle this season. They started with Tyler Swank as crew chief, but parted ways with him in March, then hiring Jim Shuttlesworth to that role, and I don't know that it's gone much better since. Eliason's average feature finish in high limit shows is about 12.2, and they've got just 6 top 5s in 45 races. They had a decent stretch from Portsmouth in July through the West Coast trip, where they had 5 of those top 5s, plus 10 top 10s in 13 races, but both Port Royal during the Tusky and Lernerville, they were back to struggling again. And those are both tracks, especially Port Royal, that you'd hope Shuttlesworth would have good setups for. Along the way, they've also made chassis changes and worked on engine things, but they have yet to lead a single lap this season or find a podium finish with high limit. They did win a weekly show at BAPS back in March, which was the real lone bright spot here. So Eliason now on the driver market, but I don't know what his options are going to look like. Remaining on a national tour doesn't seem likely at this point, although Brian Ridge did tell Jeremy that if they can find funding into the future, they could maybe get started again. The very small handful of top rides that are going to change drivers this season all seem to have their next guy lined up, save for maybe 1 or 2. And then on the flip side of the Ridge operation, it sounds like Aaron Reutzel and the 87 car could be taking Eliason's place on the road with High Limit in 2025. Jeremy had that story this morning. You can check out both of these stories over at sprintcarunlimited.com. Also check out Jeremy's YouTube channel. He does a great job. The plan is to run High Limit and then race Knoxville in between, with Reutzel getting to go home during the week to be able to spend time with his family. Remember, it was just last week that I talked on this show about Reutzel's pullback from the national spotlight, but he could be back in 2025. We've seen that when things are right, Reutzel has the speed and potential to be a top 10 guy in the country. It's just been a few years since that was the case. Looking at the larger picture, the battle is back on again between the Outlaws and High Limit, 4 full-time teams to join next season. In the Ridge case, it certainly sucks to lose a net car, but good for High Limit that they will likely keep one on tour. With options now, though, teams have some measure of leverage when it comes to trying to better their situations between these two sides. Heard rumblings of conversations where that leverage is being attempted. The line being, if we don't get X or Y, we'll just go to the other side. It's like college recruiting, with both sides offering up their best pitches. And you can be sure that lots of in-hauler conversations behind trailers, phone calls, text messages, all of those things are happening right now. Now, we won't have quite the intrigue of 2023, but there's still plenty to figure out in the coming weeks and months here in sprint car racing. Real quick, we are super close to 35,000 YouTube subscribers, so if you haven't done that yet, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell. It's free to do so, and it's a good way to make sure you keep up with everything going on in dirt racing. I'm still hopeful we can get to 40,000 subscribers by year's end. Coming up this weekend at Eldora during the 4Crown, Ryan Timms will be back behind the wheel of the Kurt Michael Heffner 27. Timms was in the highlighter green car a few weeks ago at Port Royal with High Limit, but unfortunately didn't make any of the 3 features. He'll be running double duty between the sprint car and the Keith Kunz midget, though, at Eldora. This is a different direction in recent weeks for Timms, as his sprint car starts previously came mainly in his family-owned 5T. But that car has been on the shelf since right after the Jackson Nationals. Timms ran the Knoxville Weekly Finale, MSTS at Huset's, and 2 Outlaw shows at Huset's with Guy Forbrook, and now he's making these starts with Michael and Heffner. Port Royal was a struggle, but the races with Forbrook were solid, including that Bull Haulers Brawl victory. Other notes for Eldora include Stevie Sussex racing the Baldwin Fox 5 car for the USAC Sprint Car portion. Chris Wyndham will run a Chad Boat midget alongside his Vermeer NOS 55, and Logan Seavey will attempt all 4 for the 4Crown Tribe. He's going to run all 3 USAC divisions with his Abacus team, and the Winged High Limit portion with what I'm guessing is the Landon Simon 24 team. Around the other dirt racing podcast this week, Wing Nation has Buddy Kofoid and Ronnie Day. Dirt Track Confessions has Ralph Shaheen. QuickTime has Kerry Matson and Stu Snyder. Hoagie's Garage has Danny Dietrich and Landon Brooks. Turn 2 Terribles has Dominic Malaire, and there are new episodes of The Dirt Reporters, The Dirt Nerds, Dirt Tracks and Rib Racks, Racing Roundup, and The Hammer Lane. To see a full list of the shows and their newest episodes, visit dirttracker.com/podcasts. That's it for the show today. There are a few options on the streaming schedule, including the USRA Nationals at Wheatland that get started today. So stop by dirttracker.com/watch tonight. Hope you guys have a great Wednesday out there. We'll see you back here tomorrow.